welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are wrapping up the month of July in my reading journal, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been watching my recent videos and sending me well wishes. If you didn't know, I was kicked by one of our horses in a freak accident and ended up really badly injured in my left leg. I am now on the mend, so thank you so much for all the kindness that I received. I am definitely feeling a little bit exhausted because I'm now back to doing everything that I wasn't when I was on bed rest, but it's a good kind of exhaustion. It has meant that I haven't been reading as much in the first few days of August, but I will get back to that point when we end August, so you'll hear a bit more about how this month's going. So let's look at how last month went. I filmed this, I think the second day after, the 2nd of August, and I'm voicing this over on the 6th just for your knowledge, but I had a hard time choosing my favourite read of the month in a sense of, on one hand, it was a complete no-brainer. Set on You by Amy Lee was fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough, and as you can see with all the thoughts that I'm putting down on this page, I really enjoyed it, and I will be looking forward to her next book that comes out in 2023. However, I really also loved another 5-star read, which was Sorcery of Thorns, and I almost made it a page like I did with Belladonna and Everything for You, where I had both books on the same page, but I ended up choosing Set on You in the end, and it was a really good book, but so was Sorcery of Thorns. Margaret Rogerson has become one of my favourite authors this year, and I cannot wait for more by her. I have one book left on my shelf to read before I have to wait for new books by her, so kind of trying to hold out. But anyway, let's get on to what I actually read this month. I had a good month. Oh, actually, before we do that, I'm pointing out just here on these pages, if you watched my plan with me flip through for August, sorry, I accidentally took the page that was set for stats, so I had a bit of a meltdown trying to figure out how I would put the stats page in since I had no extra page. I ended up taking a page out of the back of my book and sticking it in over top of the right side of the reading log, then redoing the reading log page, restamping everything. It was a whole process, but it was totally worth it because, as you can see, we now have a stats page that's right where it belongs, and I wouldn't have to worry about it being out of place. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about in regards to the books that I've read this month. I had a good month. I read 15 books, which is again the lowest amount of books of 2022 in a month. In June I also read 15 books, but I am on an increase in the sense of I read more pages this month than I did last month, and I would have read more books had I not had the chunkiest book to read over July, which was A Court of Silver Flames. That book is a beast, and definitely added to the extra page count, and I think that I would have had at least one, maybe two more books done if I hadn't been reading that, even though I did enjoy that book. So I see that as a win. I see that as more of an improvement than June. July was also the first month that I went back to doing the TBR jar game, and I finished all 7 prompts. It was almost, I was reading the last book, I think 2 days before the month ended, and I was a little bit like, oh, what if I don't make it? But I made it, and I was very impressed with the reads that I had this month. I actually gave out quite a few 5 stars. I had 4 5 stars this month, and aside from Sorcery of Thorns and Set on You, I also really enjoyed You Again by Lauren Lane, and we did a buddy read of These Hollow Vows over July, and of course that was going to be a 5-star read for me because it was a 5-star read the first time round, and I thoroughly enjoyed revisiting that world. As I'm talking now in August, we are reading These Twisted Bonds, and it's just been amazing to revisit that world as well, even though I read it in March. Having a physical copy has been wonderful, and I have tabbed it so much. I think it's the most tabbed book, aside from Once Upon a Broken Heart, on my shelf. Anyway, I will talk more about August, like I said, at the end of August, but it's been great to have some good reads this month. I also had 3 4.5 star reads, 1 4-star read, 3 3.5-star reads, 3 3-star reads, and unfortunately a 2-star read, which was, actually I can't remember off the top of my head, Great Expectations, which was an arc that I read. I think that's partially my fault because I didn't check that it was a women's fiction. I thought it was a romance given the synopsis, and it ended up being more women's fiction than a romance, and I didn't enjoy it. So that's the star ratings of the month. As you can see on the page, I'm just filling in the least favorite and the most favorite. I've also done the genres of the month, and I read a total of 10 romances, 1 being historical and 9 being contemporary romances, and 5 fantasies, which was quite a change because I've been reading a lot of fantasies lately. Again, though, the fantasies that I did read this month were quite page heavy, so I think I would have got through more fantasy if they were shorter, but yeah, that's beside the point. I read a total of 5,672 pages, which is about 500 pages more than last month. I have an average of 3.9667, which was higher than the last 2, maybe 3 months. I did 4 buddy reads, 0 readathons, 6 arcs were read, 1 DNF. I brought 10 books. If you can see the number CH hashtag thing on the list, it's just something that I put in to fill an extra gap, but also each month I am trying to track where I am at the count of books on my Goodreads challenge. That's all it is, and a total read was 15 books. Like I said, 8 were physical, 7 were ebooks. I read 14 novels, 1 novella, and the audience rating was 11 adult, 1 new adult, and 3 YA. As you can see, the stats are on the page twice, both on the actual page and on the little graphic. We are moving on already to the pixel of the year, and we're filling in July. Now let me know if you're enjoying seeing the pixel being done. I wouldn't say that I hate filming it. I just find myself really fumbling with the page. As you can see, I'll end up making a mistake yet again. I feel like I'm always making a mistake on this page, but I do really enjoy looking at the pixel. I think I'll choose better colours next year so they look a bit better, but all of the colours that I did use were from my yearly setup, so I'm rambling a little bit about colours that don't matter, but it is a little bit confusing to me sometimes when I fill this in. I do like seeing that on the 19th of each month I tend to read 2 books. So that's an interesting fact from the page. It's just little things like that where I can see the habits forming. This month I didn't read, I think, on a total of 4 days, and that was mostly because of the medication that I was on. Actually, yeah, it's 4. And I just didn't feel up to reading at that point. I just couldn't focus, but overall that was okay because of the amount of reading I was doing over the month was enough. I tend to get a little bit hard on myself. I want to have the number count of having a lot of books on my monthly read, but I have to give myself grace when things happen in life, but also the fact that A Court of Silver Flames was almost 800 pages long, so things like that really do tend to add into your page count. So yeah, the series tracker I unfortunately filled in off camera without realizing it. I try to leave some unmarked, but I must have done it earlier in that week without realizing it, and that was just me checking that I'd finished them all off. Just putting in the stats here on this page. I don't really feel like that page does a lot, to be honest. And here is the owned TBR and me filling in all the books that I got. This month I brought a lot of Sarah J Maas books because we are doing the Throne of Glass read-along. Myself and a friend of mine are hosting that on Instagram, and we're about to start book 2, Crown of Midnight, this week coming, and I've decided that I would try and buy as many copies of the other ones as well. I brought them all out of order, so it's been quite a fun sort of process of getting them all. But I also grabbed a book that I've really been waiting to come out into a physical form. I read it as an ARC this year, and it was See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I absolutely loved that book. So when I was able to pick that up in physical copy this month, I was so happy. I'm just adding on a couple of books to the ARCs list here. I have a lot more that I actually probably need to add onto that list, but I wasn't really with it that day when I was filming this. And here we are at the final flip through of July. If you have put up with me rambling, thank you so much. I am so grateful that you're here with me. I really do enjoy filling in these pages with you all, and I hope that you are having a great start to your August, and I will be back with some new videos sometime very soon. Thank you again for spending some time with me today, and I hope you're doing well. Bye everyone.